Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another game I played on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. And in this game, oh boy, guess who's back? Dino, back for some potential hip bumping action. We'll see if that happens. But anyway, this is a game from PTCGO, as I said, going up against someone named CaliSweeper. And in this game, I'm going to be using a deck that was made by a player named Dylan Bryan. He used it to finish in the top 16 at the World Championships this year, and it's a very interesting deck. But hold that, we are gonna hit bump for 60 damage with a Silver Bangle on the first turn. We're going up against a Blastoise deck as well. But yeah, if you want to check out Dylan's report, I will put that in the description. A link to that. Very interesting report, very interesting deck, so I would encourage all of you to check that out. Very creative deck as well. So what this does, it revolves around Flareon, the one with Vengeance. We've used it on this channel plenty of times, usually with Cofagrigus, but in this version it uses other Pokemon to kind of cover your bases in a bunch of matchups. For example, we have this Garbodor line. This is specifically for the Blastoise matchup. And since you need to run so many Pokemon to fuel Flareon's Vengeance in the first place, you can afford to run all these different tech lines. So we'll see how it all works out. I do get a Garbodor into play, but I will need a tool in order to shut off abilities. That is Garbodor's ability, Garbotoxin. And, well, this hand isn't so good. So I have to decide, what do I want to do here? I can Tropical Beach after benching the Terrakion and like draw 2, or I can do 60 more damage with Hip Bump, and I think I'm actually just gonna keep using Hip Bump. If I can get one more off on that Black Kyurem EX, I can actually knock out Black Kyurem EX with Hip Bump, and I don't think I've ever knocked out an EX before with Hip Bump, so this will be entertaining at the very least. But yeah, this deck runs cards that are tailored to beat specific decks. So my opponent will catch her out my Garbodor here. So it is Garbodor for Blastoise, Landorus and Terrakion for those Darkrai decks, as well as Mr. Mime to block bench damage. Then you also see the Drifblim and the Enhanced Hammer. Those are for the Team Plasma decks that rely so much on those special energy. And there's also some of the other Drifblim from Plasma Blast now, with the Drifting Balloon ability that allows you to basically attack for free against Team Plasma Deck. So it's got a lot of stuff going on here, but it all kind of seems to work together. And my opponent flips Tails for the Hip Bump, and wow, I top deck a Float Stone as well. So we can retreat to Audino, and this is happening. Hip Bump for 60 more damage and knocking out a Black Kyurem EX all on its own. Well done, Audino. Well done. Alright, so this is not how I expected this game to start off. By all means, I have gotten a terrible start. I have not really gotten anything. All I've gotten is an Audino with a double colorless and a Silver Bangle using a Hip Bump. And usually this is not enough to really do anything. But, hey, sometimes Audino's got the magic. And I guess this is just one of those cases, because we are hip bumping our way to a knockout on a Black Kyurem EX. This is one of the most bizarre things I've seen, definitely. So I still have no supporter. I have no really anything, but at least I have Garbodor to shut off Blastoise's Deluge ability, prevent my opponent from putting a bunch of energy into play, because all of his Pokemon are very energy intensive. You know, that's the Blastoise deck runs Black Kyurem EX, Keldeo EX, but they all have expensive attacks, but they're super powerful ones. They're powered up. Garbodor is the natural counter to Blastoise. You shut off the ability, and of course Blastoise can counter you back with that card right there, Tool Scrapper, since Garbodor needs a Pokemon tool to use Garbotoxin. Alright, so kind of a cool dynamic between these two decks. And with that Tool Scrapper, I am going to be in a lot of trouble. Now my opponent can just go wild and use abilities. As you can see, that Execute is being very helpful with Propagation, bringing it back from the discard pile, so my opponent does not have to discard so many cards for cards like Superior Energy Retrieval. And now we see Keldeo EX going to rush in, Secret Sword my Garbodor. And yeah, so poor Garbodor is going to go down. But thankfully, I've given myself a bit of a cushion here, since I did take those 2 early prizes. My opponent does have that Tropical Beach in play as well. So I'm thinking, who do I want to promote? I mean, normally if you had like a supporter, you'd probably promote Terrakion there, attach, and then you could retaliate for 90 damage, set up for a knockout. But in this situation, I'm thinking, you know, I probably need to get supporters at this point. I don't have any options in my hand, so I'm going to have to take a turn here. I have the time to do it for 2 reasons. Number one, I'm up a prize, so I can afford to take a turn here to use Tropical Beach. Fill up my hand, give myself some options. That's number one. Number two, I don't really use EX Pokemon. I have that Landorus in my hand. I'm purposely not benching that because I want to make it as difficult as possible for my opponent to take all of his prizes. I want him to take 6 knockouts, not take a cheap route and knock out my Landorus. I definitely don't want to bench that. Not worth getting the extra card. Not worth it at all. Okay. So here, Keldeo EX is going to get more energy, and it looks like poor Audino's days are numbered. You know, he took down a mighty Black Kyurem EX and took a chunk out of another one. So it's been a very eventful day for Audino, I have to say. Pretty funny, actually. Audino so far has done 240 damage. Just the one Audino. How does that happen? Anyway, now my opponent is fully set up. Blastoise galore. Keldeo fully powered. Black Kyurem EX has 2 energy on it. But strangely enough, I'm not really concerned. I have answers for all this stuff. Alright, the Black Kyurem EX is not very scary. And I'm trying to think, what do I want to do here? Who am I going to promote? I want to decide who I want to promote because I'm trying to figure out, will I actually be attacking this turn? And I determined, no, I probably won't be attacking this turn. I don't want to use Vengeance unless I'm going to get a knockout. And I'm probably just going to use Tropical Beach at the end of this turn since the 30 damage from Hip Bump won't be too useful. So I'm just going to, take this turn to set up because I really didn't get to set up in the first few turns. This Flareon deck is all about getting Pokemon in the discard pile, buying enough time so that you can get your Pokemon in the discard pile and eventually use Vengeance for tons of damage. Alright, so I'm going to Ultra Ball for an Eevee there, and then we're going to discard Drifblim and Garbodor. I'm actually going to take a Pokemon that I want to discard, and then we can computer search and get a supporter. So right there we got, like 4 Pokemon in the discard pile. That was a very, very good turn for me. And I have to decide, do I want to take a Juniper here? And you know what? You really want to conserve Professor Juniper in this deck because it is so good for discarding Pokemon. So I'm actually just going to take Colress, and I'll still draw the same amount of cards, being 7. And we'll see where we get here. Okay, so I get another Eevee and a double colorless energy. Like I thought, I'm just going to Tropical Beach this turn. We're going to sacrifice that Audino I have active. That's fine. I never thought I would have 2 Audino in play. But I guess I do in this game. And we'll just Tropical Beach and draw 2. So the answers I have to this, the big one is going to be Leafeon. It has Energy Crush, does 20 times the number of energy on your opponent's field. So against the Keldeo EX, if your opponent has 5 energy in play, you can Energy Crush for 100 times 2, which is 200. So that's really all it takes, 5 energy on their field, and Leafeon knocks them out in 1 hit. It's pretty sweet, actually. And if they try to get cute and only leave 3 energy in play, Leafeon with a Silver Bangle still knocks out Keldeo in 1 hit. So it's pretty awesome. And then, I'm assuming by this point I'll be able to do 120 to finish off Black Kyurem EX. Alright, so seems to make sense. Alright, so here, more and more energy coming down, and Leafeon is licking his chops at this one, and oh no, my game's about to crash. This is very late into my stream. I'm going to promote Audino here just because it'll give me flexibility. I can always just retreat. I don't anticipate being able or needing to hit bump at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and Ultra Ball, discard Trubbish, since I'm pretty sure my phase of using Garbodor is over. I don't actually need it anymore. It just was good to buy a few turns. And I'm going to try to discard as many Pokemon as possible this turn. We'll Ultra Ball for a Drifblim because I'm going to Juniper that away. So I can evolve into Flareon on the right and Leafeon on the left. And I could play this catcher here, it doesn't really matter. Probably just go after another Keldeo. All I need is one energy. Fighting or DC can use Energy Crush. So I'm going to Juniper here. Just need an energy and I'll be well on track to win. And the, Well, looks like I don't have energy. Okay, that's actually going to be a problem. So now I'm going to take a look and see how many Pokemon are in my discard pile. And I don't think I have enough to Vengeance either. So now I'm kind of kicking myself. Well, I couldn't have expected that I wasn't going to draw an energy here. You know, drawing 7 cards, I have plenty of energy left. Kind of a shock that I didn't draw one here. But if I had Catcher the Black Kyurem EX instead, I could have used Vengeance for a knockout. So, probably a slight mistake, but I was still expecting to draw the energy there. I mean, with my deck being this small, I still have a good amount of energy left. I just figured I would be able to get one, but I guess not. And now, once again, we're gonna hit bump. So what does that bring the damage total up to? 270? 270 damage from this Audino. But it looks like his time is finally up as Keldeo rushes in. Looks like... Sorry, Audino. You know, it's just your run's over. That's all there is to it. And, you know, you had a good life. That's all we can say. Alright. So from here, I am down a prize. But again, I don't have any Pokemon EX on my field. And my Pokemon are starting to do ridiculous amounts of damage. My opponent is going to play a Skyla here for a Pokemon catcher. Oh, wait. That means... Is my Audino actually going to live through this entire game? Is that about to happen? I think so. Alright, so my opponent grabs a Pokemon catcher. Probably going for a more quote-unquote threatening Pokemon, although Audino has done the most damage this game. We'll see what he goes after. Could be either Leafeon or Flareon. Flareon might make sense since it has a double colorless on it already. So you might want to target down the Pokemon with the energy. Leafeon, of course, is threatening as well, since it takes 4 energy from a Keldeo to knock it out. It does have water resistance. And it's going to knock out everything for 1 energy at this point with so much energy on the field. So my opponent decides to go after Leafeon, which is okay. I have... You know, I'm going to use this turn to try to prepare for an incoming N. I probably shouldn't have played that random receiver. I actually forgot if I had any supporters left, which is why I played that there. But I'm going to play out as many cards as possible, preparing for an N, because there can be a bad situation happening next turn. I will power up Flareon here, play it on the float stones I can play. But here is the problem. I can knock out this EX, which is cool. I'll go down to 2 prizes, then I just have to knock out 1 more EX. All I need to do is Catcher for the win. But if my opponent actually attacks with Blastoise and Hydro Pumps Flareon for a knockout, this is a real problem because it's only a 1 prize attacker. Which means even if I knock out Blastoise, I only get 1 prize, and then my opponent just knocks me out with one of the several Pokemon EX that are powered up already. So I needed to play as many cards out as I could, improve my odds in case my opponent does play an N, which most certainly is coming, because I think Let's take a look through his discard pile. He's played 1 and... oh, 1 N, okay. So, yeah. N is definitely coming at this point. So he's going to retreat into Blastoise, and this is the situation I really feared. I really couldn't play any more cards out. I could have played Super Rod, but that's actually counterproductive. I'd actually be just putting in more cards I don't want to draw. So I'll keep the Super Rod. I do have the 2 Juniper. I am actually regretting playing the random receiver on the previous turn, but that's okay. I'll have 2 Juniper and a catcher and possibly an N. And I'm not sure what the other 2 cards in my deck are. But I'll have, you know, a decent shot at drawing what I need here. And there's the N. And we'll see what I get. We got an N and a fighting. So it's not completely out of the question that we're going to win here. Will Audino live to tell the tale of his victory? Or, oh, a Juniper. Okay, wow. Yeah, we certainly could win here. Alrighty, so, this is it. If I draw a catcher, I win. So here we go. Juniper, and oh my goodness. So this is happening. Alright, yeah, we're going to catcher out Black Kyurem EX and Vengeance for 200 damage to close the game out after hip bumping for the first 4 turns. Knocking out a Black Kyurem EX with an Audino. And MVP Audino. That just about sums up this game. That is the wacky game of Pokemon sometimes. You never know what's going to happen. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this match. I certainly did. This is a really fun deck. Again, check out the report. It'll be in the description. I am Pooka from the Top Cut. I'll have some more videos for you guys soon. And I'll see you guys next time.